around, you know? You should still get the money. You're still going to get a lot of money anyway off of 8 mules, so...
I think they should do the change so that the mule doesn't go to waste if you mule like a far or a close mineral patch or whatever instead of a far one. I think that's kind of silly.
That kind of... Well, the thing is, the closer ones have more resources. I think it's actually... Because of the way that they
part of the
changed...
balance?
No, they changed the way the mule mines. It doesn't over mine and then die with resources in its hands as often as it used to. It still happens sometimes, but they changed the length of the mule mining and increased the amount that it gets per trip. That was one of the first things they changed in the beta. Like, the mule doesn't mine as fast as it used to, but it mines more. That's why a lot of people were confused when they said they reduced it from 50 to 45.
Oh, yeah, wait, but do you know what I'm talking about? Where, like, if you mule, like, I think if you mule the close one instead of the far one or something, like, the mule will die on its trip back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. They increased the mining trip time. It doesn't happen as much. Oh. I think it still happens on both, but it's not always set. But that was, as far as I know, it was a quality of life change made for that reason, because you don't want to mule your lower mineral patches, and the further ones are the lower ones. So, like, muling those would literally just mines you out super fast.
All right. Thank you, guys. We're going to thank you, Rise SC, for bringing that topic up. The next one we're going to is Uga. And he's saying, I'd like it if there was a way to play co-op with infinite difficulty to challenge anyone. I dislike that co-op is made for only casual players, while it could be more enjoyable to players of any skill. I actually haven't played much of co-op. I played it when we were at the summit. I played a little bit after release. I didn't really play a lot. Have you guys played it?
Nope. Yeah, I've played a lot. I've got almost every commander on level 15. Difficulty-wise, it's funny because if you use Q by yourself, it can be difficult if you get stuck with someone, like pretty much anybody that's not like at least a platinum level player. Like most scrubs, like are actually, that's when you find out how bad like normal people can actually be at StarCraft, is when you play co-op with them. But I guess if you have, there's not really anything cool to do once you get your heroes to a higher level, because you can solo, like anyone Master League or above, you can solo any mission on Brutal with any of the available heroes. So they made it a lot more difficult with the last patch. But as far as increasing that goes, I wouldn't mind like custom parameters. Like if you could, because you already get like bonus EXP for playing a random mission rather than picking it. You get like bonus EXP for higher difficulties. So there should be like, I don't know, like a 5% increase for, I don't know, you get a 10% handicap or something, which I think would also be neat. But then there's no progression once you hit 15, so they don't really motivate you to play anymore after that unless they come out with more heroes, which is also another issue, I think, with the longevity of co-op.
Okay. I had one issue, or I've watched one co-op game, and that was after Nathan had played the AI so many times, he said he wanted to try one of the co-op ones, or he went and picked it or whatever, and I said, sure, you can try it. And when he got into the game, his ally was sitting there trying to kill him, and I had to explain why his units weren't auto-attacking the enemy, because it wasn't the enemy, it was his ally. That was my only...
Yeah, that stuff can be a bit... There's a lot of griefing. There's a good amount of griefing you can do as well. Like, I don't know if I should just be telling you guys this, but if you play Warzone, you can recall your teammates' stuff. So, like, they're going to go push or they're trying to defend their base. You just recall all their shit away from them, and then they lose their base, you know? You can just troll them like that. Right. But, I mean, that's just... you can't avoid that. That happens in team games and shit, right? So...
The memes that would create, though.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Indeed.
Indeed. Quite excellent. Old chaps.
Yeah.
Uga, thank you very much for your contribution. Jib661, talking about the mouse wheel scroll bug. And this is something I've experienced. If I'm thinking about the right one, there are two different bugs. There's one where it's like your cursor goes, there's 5 cursors on top of each other. The other is when you're watching a replay and then the mouse cursor just completely disappears. It locks up. You can't get out of the game. You have to F10N real fast or whatever. Have you guys experienced this bug before?
Yeah. So this is, as someone who uses the scroll wheel a lot. So occasionally there's one that they fixed and then it came back, which was it would just randomly happen where you would press, when you hold it down, your mouse usually disappears and it would just basically sit there in the middle of your screen, which is kind of distracting as well. And then when you let go of it, it would go back to wherever it was before. So that's a pretty annoying bug that's still in the game. But yeah, if you are looking at a replay and you are holding down the middle scroll button and you press B, which puts you back in time 10 seconds in the replay, you lose your mouse cursor like completely, and you can't get it back unless you restart StarCraft, which is pretty annoying. The other bug that was pointed out there was something that had to do with your camera randomly flying to the corner. I used to have this. I haven't had it in a very long time, so I don't know what exactly that one. I don't know what exactly is causing that or what it's like these days. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
We'll definitely bring that one up then, because I definitely experienced the one where the mouse completely disappears.
Yeah. It's annoying. It happened to me just like randomly. It's like, well, guess I have to restart everything. Yeah.
All right, so this next question is going to go for Cat. I mean, well, everyone can answer. I'm going to direct it to Cats first. It's from Orion, SC2. He says, make it so that larva spawns near the mineral line. I know it's a tiny thing, but yeah. Is it really a bug that it doesn't start towards, or a bad design feature? Because I feel like if you put it in the mineral line, it makes it easier for you to defend. I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, that's actually like a very real annoying thing. Oh, sorry, this is for Cats first.
Cats, you're muted.
Cats here? Oh.
Huge opinion on it. So Steven can maybe give his.
Yeah, it's a little thing, but I think it's kind of annoying. It would be interesting to have that balanced out. I guess for some people saying it doesn't matter much, something interesting. Do you remember in Brood War, the extractor balance was actually really important. I don't remember what it was exactly, but like I think if the extractor started above you, you could mine it with 3. But if it was below you, or maybe to the sides as well, you had to use 4 workers to efficiently mine it in Brood War.
Yeah, I think it was a distance and angles type thing.
Yeah, it was a distance and angles. Yeah, but this is pretty annoying. But they fixed that in StarCraft 2. I think it mines optimally.
We had that issue in StarCraft 2 early on, but yeah, they fixed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like the larva spawn is just really a tiny thing. It's not gonna win you or lose you any games.
Yeah.
I think.
I think the most telling moments probably are things in like if you're playing like a ZBZ and you're getting Ling rushed, having that larva spawn inside your mineral field is actually really nice because 1, you're not going to have any risk of them dying instantly, and 2, if you have your buildings blocking off your queen, or like you can put your spawning pool right next to your hatchery, like 1 matrix off and put your queen there, and if there aren't eggs like spawning on top of her when you go to, or if there aren't larvae spawning there when you make eggs, it's not going to fuck everything up. Like, I don't know. It's a pretty minor thing, I do agree, but it would be nice for them to consistently spawn near the mineral field, I think. But again, not a huge thing. I guess like for like comparable things, it seems like Marines and everything, and like in factories, the unit will just come out of the side of the rally set, right? They don't come out of the front and walk to the back, do they?
Right. Okay. Yeah, they come out where the rally set.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you guys. Thank you, Orion SC2. This next one is Sakyoku Shah. This person says, I know this is selfish and maybe unreasonable, but I really want to know when the new ladder is coming out. All right, we've already talked about that. We're definitely going to bring that up. We all want the new ladder. Trust me. We all want it. Ian Lage 89, Overlord drop. What would be the best nerf to it? First of all, Nathan, do you think the Overlord drop needs to be nerfed?
I think if it gets nerfed, it takes a lot of. That's like getting rid of. In my opinion, if you push it to lair, you're kind of doing the same thing as like almost removing the tank drop. It's just something that I think has made a lot of exciting moments. I would rather there be another way to balance it out than getting rid of the Overlord drop. In my opinion, it's one of the coolest things to see because it just gives you another tool that you can use that I don't really feel is overly strong. But obviously, right now it's a problem for Protoss. But I feel like there's a better way to solve this problem than either getting rid of it or putting it on lair like they mentioned, which in my opinion would also pretty much be the same thing as removing it, at least from most cases that we've seen since Legacy of the Void came out.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't make the game more boring just because something is strong. Like, find another way to fix it.
Oh, fuck. I don't know if it was you, Nathanias, that I was talking to on... I think it was either on an episode of Unfiltered or another episode of the late game where I was saying that I was a little bit disappointed that Parasitic Bomb got nerfed. And then either you or someone else brought up that game that Snoot played against some other Terran that had a huge air army. Does anybody know who I'm talking about, which game this was?
The only one I can think of recently was Snoot versus Ryung in Ting Open.
It might have been Ryung.
I haven't spoken to you since that game happened, so I don't. That was a pretty recent game as well.
Okay, I watched that game, and Ryung had no fucking
Well,
idea
yeah,
how to play that late game. That's why it worked so well.
His army was so unbelievably clumped. Like Parasitic Bomb, I don't think is an issue for most scenarios.
Yeah, he right-clicked his whole fucking army into one circle, and then like 8 fucking Parasitic Bombs killed. That was pretty fucking stupid, yeah. But okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys, and thank you, Lage89. Grip SC says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Nope, Grip SC. That was the map one. Laughing Games increasing the map pool to 9 and using the GeoCell maps as the new 2. So that's something I think you touched on a little bit, Nate. But I mean, what do you guys think about having a couple extra to throw into the veto process, so that you veto a few, you veto for your best of 5, but then you have a few more to choose from?
So I'm actually really curious to hear what you guys think about, as far as, are there actually any serious negatives to this aside from having to practice more maps? Is there any realistic downside?
Lengthier. That is a downside.
That is an extra minute.
An extra minute on vetoes.
Sure.
Okay. Because if there's like an actual good reason to not add an extra map or two, I'd really like to know.
Well, pros would argue that it would be more obnoxious.
But like the highest level pros also argue that they never want to play on anything other than Dust Towers for 7 games in a row. So I mean, it's the same bullshit.
Pretty much.
All right. Let's see, what do we got next? Thank you, Laughing Games, for that one. Peter D. Levi. I don't know how you say that. Parasitic Bomb. All right, this guy's a lot. We'll go over 2 of these. The stacking effect needs to go. If Blizzard wants Terran, etc., etc. What do you guys think of the stacking effect of Parasitic Bomb?
Perfectly fine.
Well, I think, I mean, obviously I'm going to say I don't like the stacking effect, but realistically speaking, if you reach critical mass of Liberators, in a weird sort of way, if you remove the stacking, it would actually, it's not just like a slight nerf, it's like, it actually makes Parasitic Bomb unusable, because the current way that people use Liberators when there's no Parasitic Bomb is that you just clump them all up and use their splash at 1 second when you like bait an enemy air army of like Corruptors or Mutas, and you like one-shot the whole cloud. And there are a lot of people that play heavy Liberator. So I don't think it's as simple as like getting rid of it. Maybe if it was a splash instead of AoE, where it did slightly less the further you were away from it. But you can't get rid of the stacking, because otherwise, like, you would never ever beat mass Liberator armies. Just like they would actually make it better for you to clump your army if it didn't stack. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, I think in that scenario, it's pretty ridiculous, but. Otherwise,
it seems like right now every race has a delete button for a clumped enemy air army. Yeah. Would everybody agree with that? If you clump your army against Liberators,
really sick. Every race right now has like some form of really sick, ridiculous answer to mass air army. Like mass Liberator is obviously stupid against the ground, but it's like even more ridiculous versus air if you don't have either Tempests or, well, I guess for us not as relevant, but like for Zerg, like you need to have either a good number of Infestors to either catch all of them in a clump somehow, or Parasitic Bomb, which is much better. But then at the same time, it kind of goes both ways. I wouldn't even mind seeing both of them toned down, because right now, like air armies especially, air armies fight, and that fight is always over within a few seconds. Like I don't miss the mass point defense drone bullshit, but I also can't say I like it that every time there's an air engagement in Legacy of the Void, it is over like instantly. Like
because that's what it's trying to discourage, though, right? Like turtle games and whatnot. That's what that's supposed to counter it. Death volley effects. That was the intended design.
Yeah, I do still think that there are other better ways. Like they already made some really good changes with like the nerf to the Raven. Like point defense drone spam is almost completely useless unless you're able to use it somewhere where the Zerg has to fight. You know, but otherwise it's like there are other changes that were also really good, like increasing the energy costs of Seeker and stuff. Like those spells don't need to be so strong, and then you can actually have real air fights without it being, well, did I hit my Parasitic Bombs? No, I instantly lose my whole air army. Or did I hit my Parasitic Bombs? Okay, he instantly lost his whole air army. And it's just such a... Yeah, but it's in late game fights you have so much supply usually if you're playing with actual air armies that it's more of a binary thing than it is like a
But that again, that is the intended design, right? They want trades to happen. They don't want you to be comfortable going for those rare armies. They want you to fight as often as possible.
Yeah, that's fine. I would have liked it a little bit differently. That's all.
All right. Cool. Thank you guys, and thank you. Who was that? I think that was Peter D. Levi. The Skunk 2, we've already discussed that question. Thank you very much for your submission. Machine fucking head. PVZ, it's fucked. How are you going to fix it? We've already discussed PVZ. Thank you, though. Machine fucking head. Maps. We've discussed this. Thank you, Zillafrom. Punders. The slow alt tab bug is still around. Even crashes the game sometimes. There are a lot of threads about this thing. Have you guys experienced this? The slow alt tab bug?
I think the only bug related to alt tab I'm aware of is if you alt tab while you're loading a ladder game, it can fuck your shit up. But otherwise, I don't know.
Yeah,
don't alt tab while you're loading.
It will. There's a bug where it will crush your game if you're on full screen mode if you alt tab. So yeah, they should fix it.
Oh, okay, I wasn't aware of that.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, Punders. This one is from Vexili. There's a lot of stuff, so we'll just touch a couple. Change ladder colors. Bigger map pool. We've already talked that one. More editor support. I think these are all relatively good things to bring up. Everything that I'm looking at here. So I'll go through this. I'll see what hasn't been repeated, and we'll add this to the list. Thank you very much, Vixili. Spirit Star. Oh man, I like being creative. But I think it's fun to player. Alright, this is another map one. Thank you, Spirit Star. Fuck off, fanboy. The issue I want to address is part of the SC2 that ever since Fun Day Monday and stuff like that went away, has disappeared in terms of viewership. The grassroots community of players who are nowhere near GM level, but who enjoy playing the game. One of the biggest things I would love is if Blizzard would give in-game virtual goodies as rewards to promote grassroots stuff. Stuff like bronze, gold tournaments created and hosted by SCV Rush. No money on the line, just people who like playing StarCraft 2, pretending to be competing in GSL. So I think what he's talking about is just those different ways that Blizzard could reward the grassroots part of the community. I think that's a great idea, especially something like SCV Rush. I don't know how many tournaments have been performed by SCV Rush, but I know that since I started doing StarCraft tournaments back in 2013, SCV Rush has been around. So I don't know how much longer before that they've been around. So I really do like that idea. What you guys think about, rewarding kind of like the grassroots stuff with in-game content and different things through Blizzard support?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there should be other priorities, and that this can be addressed through the tournaments in-game as well, right? Like you can get rewards by playing the tournaments that Blizzard hosts. It's a pretty similar concept.
I think a really cool solution to that, going right off of what you said, is if they just give authorized tournament runners that when obviously you need to be able to make your own tournament, but imagine that you could just sign up for the SCV Rush tournament through Battle.net, and then maybe it's a free tournament, obviously, so they don't have to worry about paying stuff out, but then they could promote their own stuff that way and have a more integrated thing, so that if they're going to add, for example, these tops to trophies, then you've got an SCV Rush top, and someone's like, well, how'd you get that? Well, I won an SCV Rush tournament. The same way that someone who wins WCS could have a WCS trophy on top of their thing. I think a lot of it comes down to revamping the tournament system pretty heavily.
Agreed. Steven, anything before we move on?
No, I agree pretty much, yeah.
Cool. ETS Harry said, well, first of all, thank you, fuck off, fanboy. ETS Harry, my design changes. Cyclone Lock-On. I kind of like this one when I read it. Cyclone Lock-On doesn't get canceled by the loss of vision, but without vision, the Cyclone can't shoot. And then lock-on is only canceled if target gets out of range. What do you think of that, Nate?
I am not aware of this. I assume the lock-on was lost if the unit was out of vision.
This is a suggested change.
Oh, I want to change that. Oh.
Yeah. So
that just seems like, okay, the Banshee left vision range. I didn't scan fast enough. I don't know. I don't think that's a huge. I mean, it'd be a small buff to Cyclones. Maybe I don't see how it would be really broken, but I don't really see how it's necessary either.
Okay. Anyone else have a thought on that one?
I don't have a strong opinion on. I don't really.
So, I guess the idea behind this guy's thing is that if a unit left vision of the Cyclone and you scanned it before it left the range, you'd still be able to keep shooting it.
Right.
Meh.
Like if it's a unit on the high ground and you're still in range, you would keep shooting it if you lose vision.
No, it won't shoot if you lose vision, but it stays locked. So if you regain,
so that it immediately begins the lock-on damage rather than auto-attacking.
I think it's an interesting change. It's not a huge one. It's not a game-breaking one. It's small, and I actually don't know how often it would be used. Like how often that would be something that...
There are a lot of moments where you barely miss something with the Cyclone and you scan. If they implemented this, like, you would just have a harder time getting away from them. Like, it would definitely be a nice buff, but I don't really see how it's... I think if you want, like, if you're looking at, like, buffs, that's not what I'd be looking for as a Terran.
Mm-hmm. Something else he's suggesting, so it seems almost all of these are Cyclone-based. A new upgrade, anti-air targeting for mid or late game, Fusion Core armory requirement that gives Cyclone a huge anti-air range, maybe 9, for standard attack, not the lock-on range.
Is this for the Cyclone?
Yeah, this is still Cyclone.
Fuck that shit. That thing is fast as fuck. If you give them an even bigger range, it seems like that would be...
No, I don't think a range is really an issue with them either. They're really
well, sorry now, but I'm saying, like, if they were as fast as they are and you give them that big of a range...
Yeah,
that's silly.
I think that's a bit much, but I still think, like, it's not where the issue with them is anyway right now, so...
I'm gonna be a tad... yeah, like, I don't think this is the show to discuss that kind of thing, to be honest. Like, I think you would need, pro gamers either brainstorming or coming up with, ideas that they can actually, like, discuss, like... Like the patch, the patch that we had was focused on balance rather than features. I don't know that we're qualified even to, and we don't have a Protoss player here either.
No, I get what you're saying. So yeah, I'll mention the Cyclone. Just ask for Blizzard's. They've given a little feedback. Just ask a little further what they've been thinking about doing with the Cyclone. I've never known how to pronounce this name, so we'll just say PCAC. We'll go with that. PCAC. Oh shoot, I was going to do a video of this on, oh, never mind, he's asking me about late game VODs. I swear I'll put them up. B18 YOLO Bolo. Can we get back our old Immortal so we can do Prism Harass like in Wings of Liberty again? What do you think of that, guys? Can we get back our old Immortal so we can do Prism Harass like in Wings of Liberty?
Wait, why can't you do Warp Prism Harass now?
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what... I mean, you can turn off autocast on barrier and manually use it. I don't know what the... I'm not sure.
Maybe he doesn't know that that autocast can be turned off.
You can turn off autocast, and then when your things loses all of its shields, you can activate barrier. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that one is, what that one's about. So we'll skip that. Thank you, though, for posting. Mimical, Blizzard, make grid layout automatically chosen from the start, please. Don't let newbies start with the standard hotkey layout. So I actually have no idea what hotkey layout I use. I buy the game, I went in, and I made the hotkey changes.
Wait, is grid where, like, you don't use A for attack, but it's like some standard part of the keyboard or whatever? Like it's laid out in the bottom right? Like the command card lays it out, or no?
No, it's all laid out. I think grid's all laid out to where the command card stuff is, so that it's all on the upper left side of your keyboard. Technically, it is better. But if you played Brood War, standard is a lot more similar to that with some quality of life adjustments. Most people, I guess, that came from Brood War probably prefer standard modified, but I think grid is probably better if you've never played the game before, because you'll just be more effective in general.
Yeah, that's possible.
You should never have to move your left hand to the right side of the keyboard. Like, there's absolutely no reason for that. So.
Yeah, I moved a lot of upgrades and whatnot over.
Exactly.
With having to move.
Yeah, I use standard, but I have a modified standard where I just move everything that was on the right side of the keyboard to the left side because it's just dumb. So.
Okay. Do you think that there's a benefit to having noobs start with the?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll bring that up. Thank you, Mimical. Hey, no worries. We're just gonna go through one of these. Sorry, buddy. Custom colors. I like my enemies' colors on the mini-map being red. Love being able to change it to white, but 6 years of green Zerg units. Come on. I don't think that's a bad idea. Like, to be able to choose what color, you or your enemy are going to appear as on the ladder.
I think this is another one of those, like, could you even think of a reason why this would be bad? Can any of us think of one reason why this would be bad? Like, what's the downside?
Cool.
Because if you use it like team colors, then it's not in the replay either. Like the replay could still be red versus blue, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, you should be able to choose your color and somewhere in the menus, and then you spawn as that color every time until you decide to change it to something else.
All right. Cool. Thank
I'm sure MLG wouldn't allow it. Sorry.
Thank you. Hey, no worries. Appreciate it. Next comment, by the way, I just want to bring this up. It's from Architos, one of the community managers, and he says, just so that it's clear, we are absolutely watching this thread and are eager to see what develops. Thanks for the post, like, but either way, they're watching, guys. So, you know, they are taking your feedback. They were probably watching this all yesterday, and so hopefully we'll get something really nice out of this. M797 says, I'd like to suggest one minor but important thing for me, a loading screen with all 3 races for those who own all 3 SC2 games.
Sounds a little too interracial for me. I don't know if we're ready for that kind of stuff.
He likes a wallpaper. I mean, I kind of get what he's saying. Because, alright, I see what he's saying. So what he's talking about, guys, is when you load Legacy of the Void and you see Artanis, you know, sitting there, he links a picture to Artanis, Kerrigan, Raynor, and he's thinking, you know, if you own all of them, you get that big picture on it. I don't think that's a bad idea. You know,
I mean, that's a reward for owning all 3 of them, right? We've touched on this. It's just rewards. Yeah, I agree that you should be able to get things like this for doing things within StarCraft or pay for them.
Yeah. I think for literally every question you have that has to do with like a cosmetic change, I think that all of us are just going to say, yeah, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason for
cosmetics. Either, you know, his win condition for the fucking loading screen is owning all 3 StarCraft. It's great. That could be a thing.
Okay.
You just be able to pick which expansion, man. Never see Kerrigan on your loading screen again. It's over.
Or you could have an Abathur loading screen or fucking a Destiny loading screen that fucking pays $1 to Destiny for every person that buys it. You know, like.
Whoa, let's not get too crazy then.
Yeah.
Getting into Valve territory now.
All right. So yeah, we'll go with that with cosmetic changes. We're probably gonna all keep them. So those will definitely be brought up. Call me Blue. Hanging out in chat. Thank you for posting here. He says, I want to know why you can't look at a replay on the replay list and see who won. I fucking agree, man. So he's saying, why can't you see who won the match? Why can't you see who won the match? Other people brought this up too later, so we'll get to that. But we'll address it all now. We want to see who can win or who won the match. We want to see what map it was on. We want to be able to sort by what map it was on. We want to be able to sort by race we played, things like that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with any of this.
That's something that's like, why didn't we have the replay browser in general? Just sucks
really bad.
So much in StarCraft. Like, if you want to look up any particular game you played, it's like nope.
Better remember the exact time and date you played.
If it's Orbital Shipyard (75) or Orbital Shipyard (54). Otherwise, you're going through 20 fucking replays trying to find it. Good luck.
I don't know if it still exists, but I remember that. Do you remember Brood War chart for Brood War? How it would you could automatically rename all of your replays?
Yeah,
I don't know if SC2 Gears did that.
SC2 Gears does do that.
Okay.
Do that.
But it's a third-party program.
But it doesn't make finding stuff any easier in game though.
Right. It shouldn't be a third-party program. Yeah. Then again, I'm not sure how high on the priority list that should be.
Yeah.
Okay. So cool. We will definitely keep that one. Thank you. Call me Blue. Dasdulium, observer mode for friends, much like in CSGO. I think we've all wanted this for a while.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely bring this one up. It'd be great to see. It'd be great to be able to watch, you know, your favorite pro on the ladder. Granted, so I think that actually, let's talk about that.
Well, at least for friends, they have it for Hearthstone, right? And it would be useful, for example, for coaching and stuff like that.
Yeah, so maybe not automatically being able to just observe any round, because I'm sure there's a lot of pros who wouldn't like people spying on theirs.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely think for friends that would be awesome. SWAT-Yo. First of all, thank you, Das. SWAT-Yo. Please let us choose colors on ladder matches. We talked about that one. Thank you. VNels.
On that same note, by the way, there should be a way like Dota has for, you know, coaches where they can draw on the map and stuff like that. That would be so useful.
Oh yeah.
You can even do that.
That would be so good for like learning purposes.
You
can even do that in normal ladder games for Dota. You don't even need to be like an special coach, right? Like if you just queue up, I don't know.
Right. But the observers, but no, like I mean, for example, if I'm coaching someone, right? Like I'm coaching a student, then we queue up as a party where I am put as the coach on the party, and then I can actually like I only get his vision, but maybe I can draw on his map and stuff like that, right? Like he's giving me permission to do it anyway, so I'm not gonna fuck him over. And if I do, I mean, he shouldn't have given me permission to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just stuff like that would be really useful. I think StarCraft 2 is such a strategically deep game that things like that would be so useful. For example, for my stream when I'm trying to do educational stuff, like I tried to look for a tool that would allow me to do something like this, and I found some magic pen, but it was just really not good. So yeah, something in game like this would go a long way, I think, to make streams more interactive.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
VNels, he has a pretty cool idea. So he wants to see stats, and what he's talking about is stats in co-op during a weekly update. So when they give us our community update, he also wants a blog release about co-op, and he wants to see different things like what unit type killed the most players, how many workers were killed, buildings nuked, etc. I really like that idea, just to see how players are faring against the different AIs that are available in co-op. What do you think, Nate?
Information is always cool. I think one of the cool parts about if you play the co-op missions is that when it's over, it gives you it actually gives you a good amount of stats very specific to what hero you're playing or race you're playing. And I think it would be really interesting for people to be able to see, like at the end of a game, they'd be like, oh, you did this much damage with a certain unit or whatever. This is just another one of those, like, can't really think of a reason why not to do it, but how high is it on priority list? But I think if you want casuals to be interested, like everything should be about giving them stuff to look at aside from just winning games, because we all know the system's rigged to be at 50%, so people are going to lose. Got to make it more interesting outside of that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these features that Blizzard already has for different games. Like, for example, this kind of thing is already in Overwatch, right? Like where you see the end screen, awesome. And then you can flip through different screens and see how you did, and you have career best and shit like that. And that's motivating. You want to beat yourself as often as possible.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very, very much, VNets or VNels. Jade Pop, we've already got this in the ladder revamp, PVZ, etc. Thank you very much for posting. Angry Face, multiplayer balance testing environments. I think this is paramount to the future of improving StarCraft. I envision this feature being its own section under the multiplayer tab in Battle.net 2.0 client. And this tab would be a way to queue for the latest official balance test build of StarCraft 2. This tab would also have the ability to view a list of suggested builds created by players and possibly have its own custom games list. So I kind of like this idea. I've thought of more extreme things of like forcing people to have to not forcing people, but allowing people to select, to opt in for balance queuing, and then they could play up to a certain percentage of their games against other players with the current map pool on a balance test mod. But what this guy is saying is just explicitly queuing for balance test. I can't imagine any of you guys disagreeing with that ability.
That seems a bit unnecessary, to be honest. Like, we really shouldn't be having, especially with the way that the maps are going to be working for Legacy of the Void, I don't really think our focus should be on balance test mods, just because there shouldn't be that many balance patches happening, in all honesty, if we're going to be using crazy maps. So I don't know. I wouldn't put this at like a very high priority at all. It'd be nice, but it also seems a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, if it's not difficult to implement. Yeah, I agree with Nathanias for the most part. But if it's not difficult to implement, and people who do this kind of thing should get rewards. If we had rewards, that would be a lot easier. For example, in Dota, when they were testing their when they were gonna switch servers, if you played on the new server, you would get twice the amount of experience for your compendium, for example, right? So shit like that's important. Just create incentives. If you want people to play the balance maps, or if you want people to do anything that they are not forced or don't want to do, then there needs to be incentives.
Okay. Cool. Thank you guys. Angerface4, thank you. Cruel Metatron, I want Colossi to cost 5 supply now that their damage got nerfed hard. We talked a little bit about the Colossi earlier, especially before Nate got here. But Nate, what do you think of that idea? Give Colossi and make them cost slightly less supply.
It would be the only 5 supply unit in the game. I don't really think that's honestly that big of a deal. I mean, Colossi still have a pretty particular use that they have in the game, even if they don't deal as much damage. But as someone who hated how boring they are and likes how exciting the new stuff is, I really don't care about any buffs to the Colossi. I prefer to just see it stay the same way it is.
Okay.
Like, what's it? The difference of it would be that you maybe build 2 or 3 more in a maxed out army. Like, if you run and mass that many colossi, I mean, go back to Heart of the Swarm. I hate that unit. Sorry.
No worries. Z Shards, thank you for. I'm sorry, that was Cruel Metatron. Thank you, Z Shards. We've talked about maps. Thank you for your submission.
Again, I think that's again this is the wrong show for that.
Yeah.
It's kind of talk.
The Red Viper. I really want to know if there is a chance that Blizzard will be making big changes. We talked about big changes. Thank you very much, Red Viper. We will bring that up in the post. Arcade Plus. Final expansion is out, so what are the limits on types of changes? Okay, kind of the same vein. Thank you, Arcade Plus. We will bring that up. Haney. I'd like a status update about the StarCraft 1 revamp. Any info would be great. The most crucial being, are you going to touch on the balance? We'll bring that up, but I am curious for the guys who played Brood War. We'll start with you, Steven. If you were to play, you saw Blizzard was going to release an update to the game. Would you not enjoy it if it kind of worked on something like AI or something like that? The way the units move, because I heard a lot of people say that was integral to the way the game played out back in the day. Or even
it was, but I don't think I would play it. No, there's way too many things that are way, way, way too dated about that game to make it enjoyable for the average person to play, or for me to play at least, I think.
Okay. Zwig. He says, StarCraft can get any amount of small balance changes without it moving forward as a game at all. It is great that there are still tweaks being done, but what I personally experience as a player and caster is a lack of interaction and incentives when playing. If I go in and play Dota, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Heroes of the Storm, or Hearthstone, there will be items waiting to be dropped, packs to be opened. All right, I think we.
We pretty much completely went over this already.
Yep. Let's see. This one was deleted.
Rip.
Oh, okay. He didn't know that carriers can die and leave their interceptors behind.
Okay.
Bobby O. Blizz, please fix the game ready bug on EU server. They've addressed that. I haven't really heard anything from that in a while though, so we'll mention it. The Rex 243. Blizzard, please consider these requests. In-client stream viewing, we've talked about that. Skin shot and voice packs, we've talked about that. And with the ladder system, we've talked about that. Thank you, the Rex. DG Deceive, ladder overhaul and microtransactions, thank you. Avillo, get them to patch the game more than once every 3 months. Nate, do you think they should be more aggressive with their patching?
No, absolutely not. A lot of stuff is really, really strong right now, but somehow the game, there's advantages, but they're not super crazy. And I mean, I don't know. As a caster, I would the absolute worst thing that could happen is if we just let's nerf this, let's nerf that, let's nerf this, and then everything becomes super fucking boring. So no,
thankfully, I don't want. Now we can all get to the 35-minute macro game that everybody wants to play.
Yay! Nothing better than split map on. What was that map? Daybreak, my favorite. I hope he can get beautiful fungals tasteless.
I will disagree with Nathaniel and agree with Avillo for the first time in my life. But I think that most or the pro scene, like I said, would be pretty divided on this, and I think we touched on this earlier. But I agree. I think that patching the game pretty often is pretty important. We were talking about patching it radically at least a couple times a year, and I think that would help keep the game fresh, and also it kind of resets the game, right? Which also helps new players get into it because it's no one knows what's going on. So okay, go on.
The patching that you and Nathanias are talking about, I think, and the question was pointed at, are two totally different things. If you were talking about radical patches every 6 months, then that would be cool. But I think what Nathanias thought and what I heard from that question was patches to get the balance perfect, not big radical patches. The guy made it sound like he was talking about
if that was the case, why would he suggest that it happens more often than every 3 months, right?
When he says more often, it sounds like. Yeah, but it sounds like one of those people who's remember that question earlier where the guy was like, Protoss has been so weak for so long, why don't they patch it more aggressively to bring the win rate back to 50-50? I mean, I could be wrong, but that's how I heard that.
I mean, the way I read the question is if he wants more patches often and regularly, then that's completely independent of how balance is doing, right?
Unless
not working to achieve balance, but rather to switch up the game. From that perspective, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool, yeah. Big things every 6 months at least. Maybe 3 months I think might be a little bit insane, but every 6 months at the least.
Yeah. I still feel that plays pretty heavily. I think that still plays pretty heavily into the maps, though. It depends on what you define a big patch as, because I think maps are just as impactful, if not more, in certain situations than balance patches anyway.
Sure.
Okay.
Maps are balance patches, essentially.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Avillo. Thank you, guys. We're almost done with this one. Pony Danza. Pony Danza 81. I have to say, I initially came to lukewarm about Legacy of the Void in general. Okay, no, it's just saying nice things. Thank you. Mystery Steve. Are Blizzard pleased with the leaky region lock? I have friends who drift in and out of StarCraft but follow CSGO League, etc. religiously. They typically tune out of StarCraft tournaments once the key foreigners start falling away, even at Katowice. With Snoop making the finals, the aura of inevitability around Polt is just another Korean slumming it for an easy win, led them to skip to later stages of the event altogether. I think the region lock has definitely helped broaden the game's appeal, but the absence of a more logical, coherent, and widely used passport-based system means it's coming off to some as a half measure.
I mean, I think we talked about this a lot at the summit, how we wanted to enforce way more ladder games. If Koreans did want to kind of do that half migrate thing, as long as they laddered a fuck ton on our server, we didn't care.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, I think that's consensus, and I feel like the current system's good. We're seeing enough foreigners. We've seen that Polt and Hydra both are not immortal. They can be defeated. So I think right now the system's good. CatZ, you're muted.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with the WCS system working, right? I think, in my opinion, anyway.
I agree.
And yeah, I agree. Blizzard has done a pretty good job of that and implementing the, like, for example, I brought forth in my article a lot of ideas, and they've actually implemented the incentives for laddering, even though they didn't use WCS points, but instead, qualification to WCS through the ladder and shit like that. I think there are big changes in a positive way and moving forward.
Yep. Let's see. Thank you, Pony Danza. Or I'm sorry, this was Mystery Steve. All right, this is Gilka. Oh, we've talked a lot about flying siege tanks. Blizzard has actually been very vocal about flying siege tanks, so really this one. Pox. We've talked about the filtering match history and all that stuff. Thank you very much. Biz Nasty. Building add-ons to be built on either side of the buildings. Okay, there we go. Nate, you're back, right?
Yep.
What do you think of that? I feel like I've seen this one for a couple years now. Being able to build add-ons on either side of the building. Do you think that's a part of Terran macro and just something you have to learn to work around? Or do you think you should be able to?
I think of this in the same vein as like where the larvae spawn based on spawns, because some maps you have a benefit, some maps you kind of get screwed a little bit. So I feel like this is just one of those things where it's like, I think any Terran would love this. I think it makes sense. It removes some of the RNG from the game, but if you're gonna do this, like this should be lumped in with the quality of life thing. That also makes it so that, I don't know, like larva spawn towards mineral patches or something. Like it's just, if you want to get rid of the RNG, you got to get rid of all of it at once. I don't think there's any reason. Like it would probably look pretty ugly to have add-ons on random sides, and the art team is probably the reason why this patch will never happen. But obviously, it would just help with so many frustrating things.
Okay. Next question. Thank you, Biz Nasty. Thank you, Nate. Theo Mickelson. So, I didn't read this. I didn't have time to. Have you guys read Maro's thoughts on the Oracle?
Nope.
Oh, the I'll make them armored thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't play Protoss, man. I mean, I think it makes it easier to snipe for Terrans when they're trying to tag you before their Tempests kill you, but I think for PvP, it would certainly help if you needed one less stalker to deal with them, because they're super, super annoying. But that's about it.
Okay. Let's see. We're not gonna do a huge. We're not gonna keep going too much longer, folks, on this. We're gonna do a few more, and then we'll call it a night. Try to hit some really big ones. So we're just gonna rush through these real quick, because this could probably go on for a while. Indubitably, my dear, fix the goddamn scroll bug. We've addressed it. Thank you very much. Super Mario, reworked ladder. We got it. Legacy. When will Legacy of the Void be on sale? I don't know. Sunny, I can't say that name. Interface tweaks, better production queue for multiple buildings. Allow me to see the progress of production when multiple buildings are selected. What? Hold on, they gave an image with it.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like...
Huh.
Okay, all right. If you guys want to go to the thread, you can see that. That's interesting. I'll include that. Crazy Bread, Brood War music and replays and spectates. Make it happen. You know, they had the Brood War music before. Is it not in the game anymore? I thought they added that in Wings of Liberty or Heart of the Swarm.
The music thing, the Brood War music thing only works when you are live in a game. It doesn't, you cannot use it while you are spectating or while you are looking at a replay. It will always play the Legacy of the Void music.
All right. AT Gannicus from the chat, just to address this, I explicitly did this because I wanted people to see that we were going to go through all the questions, that we didn't exclude anything. Because what I could have done is I could have just gone through these already, made my own list, just brought it up with these guys, we hashed it out, and then we sent it. But I wanted people to see that we actually considered everything. So if you don't like it, you can tune out. Lepengu. I don't know if it has been said or not yet, but I'd love to see more incentive and work done around playing team games. Co-op was a great way to get people to play the game together, but eventually all the missions are completed, and it's really not worth touching again past that. 2v2 tournaments with special rewards, exclusive content. I think that's not a bad idea. We'll definitely throw that in. Pack Whack, what happened to the bronze 1 to 5, silver 1 to 5, gold, etc. Master GM thing? That's the ladder revamp. We will hopefully hear something about that after this. Rekul. I wish I could play mech or at least 50-50 mech without 15 upgrades. Blizzard's been talking about this, so that's on their radar. Scar MZ says, definitely address more variety in co-op. I wonder if they have any plans on making it more diverse. Not necessarily adding new heroes, but more exciting objectives. What do you think of that, Nate? You're the one who said you've been playing it. What do you think of that?
The most boring thing about it is you hit level 15 and all your guys, and there's nothing else for it. So they need, like, I can understand if they can't only add so many abilities for the co-op heroes, but some other form of progression is necessary, I think, especially if you don't want to play every single different one. But, I mean, you should be able to at least, like, I don't know, something like prestige your hero or whatever, so you have, like, an extra marker next to your rank, like you maxed it out this many times, it requires that much more EXP to do. Or something like that, or like I said earlier, like custom mission parameters. But there really needs to be like some way that you can just, like, if you only want to play this, you get nothing out of it once you like level all your dudes up, and you can't show off how much you do it or how much you play it. So I think that just kind of fits in with StarCraft lacking a good progression system across the board.
Okay. Thank you. Shibo. At certain north facing. All right, so I've never seen this, Nate. Maybe you have in CatZ Destiny. Maybe you guys have. But he's saying that at certain north facing points on cliffs, when a Liberator goes in Defender mode, they become untargetable by Corrosive Bile. So it doesn't sound like he's saying they can't be reached. It says once they go Defender mode, that they just can't be targeted by the Corrosive Bile. Have you guys seen this?
I think there's a bug with the Flyer Helper, right? When there's
a bug with the Flyer Helper, yeah. It only the Flyer Helper only shows when you have the ability like ready to shoot, but not before, when they're in dead airspace. Yeah, and that's just a lot of the problems with Liberators and the range are poor map design, to be honest, and how much airspace is behind the bases. So that should be an easy tweak.
I think the other issue as well is because there's some spots where you can't use Corrosive Bile on them because of the way that doodads are worked out. Like you actually can't click on those spots because this is. Like, if you've ever tried to use an ability on, like, a cliff, like, if you look at where it shows the ability will be as you go over the very edge of a cliff, like, it changes a lot, not a small amount. So if you have your, like, there was I know, like, usually it's still within Spore range, but if you only have, like, Ravagers, like, you actually can't click on certain spots. If you use stop and then activate the ability, then you don't need to click on that spot as a Terran. So stuff like that is pretty confusing. Like, the Flyer Helper, especially now that Liberators are in the game, like, really needs to be fixed because it doesn't even show until it's pretty much like it's really hard to quickly react to Liberators because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, Liberators can be pretty frustrating to deal with like that.
Yeah. The Flyer Helper thing is a huge problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are gonna go ahead and jump to the other thread. Now, this is the thread from today. We're just gonna see if there's any questioning along this line. If there's not, we're gonna call the show to an end. I'm trying to not go with the personal questions. Not that these are bad or anything, guys. It's just we've had a 2-hour show today. It's been one of our longest in a while, and want to wrap it up with things along the same line. You know, one thing I do want to talk about, guys, is, and CatZ actually was one of the kind of leaders for this movement. And you know, I came into the scene and I was often lauded for being overly positive and shit. And it was very nice to see CatZ come out, you know, recently and kind of start cheering on the positivity. It made me feel like I wasn't too crazy for thinking it's possible within this community. So, CatZ, you know, you did a lot. You kind of rallied the troops to have positive. And Blizzard has addressed this a little bit. You kind of want to just talk about the swing in the community's tone, how they've become a little more happier, how people are treating the game. I imagine it's partially because the leaders kind of stepped in and said, hey, let's be positive, but also just things have been going pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of the things that we should be focusing on as well is community, and I think we've improved a ton on that regard. I wish it had been sooner because, you know, Legacy of the Void was such a new fresh game, and then so much negativity in the forums kind of drives people away, right? Like when everyone's just spamming dead game every time and shit like that, and we don't see that much of that anymore. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really happy about that. And then I really think we need to take things like that step by step from Blizzard's perspective, like just have priorities. And just touching on that, I think like the next thing that I would like for Blizzard to do that kind of, you know, it's kind of meta. It's kind of outside of the game, and at the same time, it kind of goes with what we've been discussing about, you know, skins and microtransactions and shit like that. Is Blizzard, I think, needs to start treating the players and the teams involved with StarCraft and Blizzard games in general more like starts, more like Valve does with Dota, for example, right? Where in Dota, players have ways to monetize outside of their streams just by, say, selling skins, right? Where we might be, you know, far away from that in particular, but things that Blizzard may not have done that well is, for example, team support, right? Teams are basically marketing agencies, and we don't have very many, if any. Like aside from Team Liquid is the only huge major team that's still involved in StarCraft 2, right? And then come like tier 2 teams, and especially in terms of income, right? Like so. For the larger teams to get involved, I'm not even saying this from the perspective of Root, but rather from teams like TSM and teams like, you know, Counter Logic Gaming or whatever, just huge teams on Fnatic, you know, to come back or to invest into StarCraft 2, you need to create a sustainable environment where the teams are rewarded for being in the scene. Like, for example, one of the things that we've never had or that we had maybe for like half a WCS season or something is the team logos included in the within the game, right? Like within the games, that like the sponsors, for example, like that is something that is something that would be, I think, really important. And the same goes for players. I think that players need to, you know, find or have ways to monetize it, and also players and teams being, you know, what the driving force, like basically players and teams and Blizzard should all be working for the viewership, right? In terms of esports. So players should promote Blizzard and teams. Teams should promote Blizzard and players, and Blizzard should promote, you know, the other two. So I think that that's something that we're lacking, and I think that that should be the next logical step that Blizzard takes. Just for example, it doesn't have to be microtransactions right away for players, but featuring streams within the game. Blizzard organizing something like the Day 9 Daily, something like was it you that did it with the Evolution Chamber?
Yeah.
That should be a Blizzard sponsored show, and it should have standards up to Blizzard standards. So, you know, like we don't get another like, you know, Sugaliag episode type thing, but, you know, there should be standards. It shouldn't be on a Blizzard channel, but it should be Blizzard not just sponsored but also promoted, right? It should be on the on the game screen, like, go watch this show. We're scheduling it for every day of the week, right? And players would likely want the exposure. And I'm just saying, create a sustainable environment for players to want to stay and play StarCraft 2, because a lot of the time it doesn't come down to passion or how much a player likes the game, but rather, opportunities to make money,
right,
or sustain yourself within the game. And I, like, as a team manager, I just see so many people that are, like, not willing to go the extra step or to take a break from, say, school to go for StarCraft, where they are much more willing to do so for other games that supports their players and teams a lot better.
I agree. I really like that, and I don't just say that because I ran that. I very much agree. Nate, your thoughts?
No, I completely agree. I'd say it's pretty much a shame, really, that this is probably one of the absolute worst games as far as support from the dev goes. If you are someone that's trying to make a living in it, whether you're a player or a caster or whatever, like, those guys all get stickers in the other games. They all have, like, ways that they can, really be rewarded for putting all of their time into those scenes as well. And obviously goes twofold for pro gamers, because they usually don't make much money at all unless they're actually winning stuff. So, and I think
that's such a huge risk.
Yeah, exactly. I think it goes twofold for them, because unlike, like me or CatZ or Destiny, like, we all stream, right? And it's like, okay, you can promote our streams, but those guys can't even stream if they want to be competitive. So their options, realistically, if they really want to be the best, are even more limited than they are for other people like us. So I think it's just another reason why, like, there really needs to be much better ground up support for the people. Like, if you want to have a scene where people are investing their lives into this and you want to get people excited about it, you need to make it so that those people aren't asking themselves every day if they're going to go broke or homeless or some shit just because they wasted their time trying to be good at something, they failed at it, and then there was nothing else for them to get out of it,
So even Twitch does it, for example. Like Twitch promotes streamer shirts, for example. Blizzard could have an esports store where you can buy a fucking Snoot shirt or a Destiny shirt, and Blizzard can take a cut of that, and then these people can profit from that, and can encourage the community to pay for that. That'll make their streams more worthwhile. There will be more content. There will be more quality content. When I have more viewers, I tend to do more commentary. I tend to do more analysis, because it feels like it's more worth it. So yeah, I think that one of the main things that I wanted to bring up, and one of the reasons that I wanted to come in the show, is we need, in my opinion, for Blizzard to have better support for teams and players and make us into stars, and also for players to join teams. And that might seem somewhat selfish because I own a team, but right now the StarCraft scene, right, we don't have the numbers that we used to have. Like, let's just be real, right? So paying salaries to StarCraft players is like, not very many players make salaries outside of CatZ teams, and even CatZ teams are reducing the number of players. But in Korea, if you want to be competing, you have to be in a CatZ team to play on the pro league, right? And that's where another idea I have, or I had, that's been brought up before. I mean, it's not like a unique idea or anything, but a team league outside of Korea would make it so that the scene is more unified. And again, teams are marketing agencies, but they have to see a return of investment, or at least, some value to justify having players. And likewise, players need to see the value in joining a team. And right now there's not much, because no one's going to offer them shit, right? Because there's just no numbers to justify offering anyone anything.
And so this goes, sorry, continue.
So just like a team league outside of Korea, if not organized, at least sponsored by Blizzard. For example, sponsor the SE2 ITL that Ward is doing, right? He's been doing it consistently for such a long time. If Blizzard sponsors that and just sponsor it with eyes, you don't have to put any money towards it. Just put it in the launcher. Just say, this is going on today. Just tweet about it from the StarCraft Twitter. Encourage players to also tweet about it, right? Then players have reasons to be on the teams competing in those leagues, and then there's more of a team spirit, and then the teams have more to work for. They have more to promote, and vice versa. Blizzard, it's just the synergy between players, Blizzard teams.
One thing I want to add to that is that Blizzard has said they want to do stuff like that. When I was doing the Evolution Chamber that month, I asked if we can get that on there, and they said yeah. Now I haven't had time to plan a month of it, and so I didn't want to start it back up again until I had the time to really commit to it. But they've said they would do that. So if you guys are, if anyone's watching that's running an event, if you put a graphic together, you reach out to Scion or the rest of the Blizzard team, they will work with you to promote your content. So they actually do really want to do this kind of stuff. And I'm really liking the extra ideas that you guys are throwing out there. It'd be really awesome to see the players, the content creators all get that kind of boost that Blizzard could perform. And it's weird. I wish they would hire someone that their job was solely to study all of the different teams within Blizzard and take the good ideas from each one and then share them throughout. Because sometimes you see, for instance, Heroes of the Storm, different things happen, and you'll see it happen there, and you're like, that could totally work in StarCraft. Why doesn't it happen? So, yeah.
Right, and there's also like priorities, but this kind of thing, what I'm bringing up, it's really, it doesn't seem like it requires a lot of effort on the technical side of things. It's just, a dude or a couple of dudes that are willing to sit down and figure this kind of thing out, right?
And to speak to your point about, well, you reaching out to them and them saying that it was doable, like, they need to, like, how is anybody that works on this supposed to know if we've never received communication or information from Blizzard about how to get something? Like, why would if I don't want to go through an event because it's not profitable because I don't think anyone will know about it, like, why is there no channel or something where as people, for either teams or either people that work in the industry that make their living off of this game, why is there no like channel that we're aware of that's like, hey, if you're working on something big and you can comply with Blizzard's rules for your content, like, we will help promote it for you to some extent because it's for our game and obviously helps draw traffic and eyeballs on StarCraft. But the fact that I, for example, as someone that makes content, am not aware of any way that if I wanted to do like a balance test map thing, which I have done and I've received zero promotion for, like, how am I supposed to know that apparently there's a way for me to dump, a couple $100 of my own money onto these? Like, what if I wanted to do a balance test, like a show match on the new maps? Like, how am I supposed to know that there's apparently some channel that may or may not be accessible for me to actually get more people to watch it, to make it more, more worth for me to do? I think the lack of communication on that regard to people that, like I said, either team owners or content creators or streamers, people that make their living off of StarCraft, receive very little information on.
Agreed. Definitely agreed.
Even you, like how much do you know? Like, what would they have done for you? Were they specific, or were they just like, we'll promote it? Like, were you gonna be on the game?
They put it in the launcher.
They put it in the launcher. I mean, that's awesome, right? Like that they do that for Hearthstone sometimes.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much of that for StarCraft though.
They had the weekly all in there once. That was super cool. I'd love to see their numbers on how much more traffic they might have gotten off of just that, because they were in the front page thingy of the launcher I think like 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually someone. Yeah, I'd really like to know like if that really had a significant impact for them.
Yeah. Agreed. So yeah, we'll definitely include a segment about this, summarize the thoughts of this, and I think that's excellent feedback for them, and it would be great for the community. I can't look at that and say there would be anything wrong with that. It's all positive, all good.
Yeah.
I think
again, like, teams are marketing agencies, so like use them because they'll work for free. Just gotta give them a little push. Same goes for players.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that's something that I haven't seen too much of in my time in StarCraft. Are those with the brand power? I came in late to the game, so there wasn't Huck at the top of his game. There wasn't Idra was falling off and disappearing at the end. So it'd be really cool to kind of see that come back with StarCraft, even if we stay the small scene we are right now.
Yeah, I don't think we have to. I think this would promote growth. And I think we are moving in the right direction, and I think that Blizzard has been listening more than they have in a really long time. They're addressing it. They're posting on Reddit even. They're saying that they're listening. So, hopefully they are.
Yep, absolutely. Well, guys, I think we've covered every freaking topic. You guys did awesome. Thank you all for giving your insight into the community feedback, responding to the folks. Thank you to everyone who posted in the threads for giving your feedback. Really appreciated. When I do make the write-up, I'll also post a public copy in a Google Doc or something like that. But thank you all very much for taking the time to respond to that. It was really great. And so we're gonna go ahead and kill the show. Nate, thank you for jumping on. I really appreciate that, Hawk. I was hoping that you would, actually, because, you know, I don't get it tearing on here too often. What's going on in your world?
Oh, just streaming every day. That's pretty much it. I'm going to be streaming after this, and I've got absolutely nothing lined up until DreamHack Austin. I'll be there. So, yeah.
Awesome. See you there. CatZ, what are you up to?
Not much. Playing a bunch of StarCraft and Overwatch probably later today. I'm probably gonna be streaming after eating or something. So do check that out. And thank you very much for having me. If I can do shoutouts to my sponsors.
Absolutely.
Thank you. TT Esports, Esport Gaming, and Esport Clothing, where we sell our jerseys as well. So thank you very much to them, and of course Twitch, who has been a sponsor of Word Gaming for such a long time. So yeah, I love them all very much.
Good. Nate, you wanna shout out your sponsors?
Oh, yeah. Shoutouts for gaming.com, Literal Gods, and Quest Nutrition. Get some protein.
Booyakasha. Steven, you want to shout out your sponsors?
I guess I have, I don't want to do this one yet because I don't think the affiliate link is set up yet, but I guess shout out to all my wonderful subscribers who sponsor me. And yeah, that's all I got for now. Destiny.gg is my website. Check out all my links at the top.
Sounds good. Are you streaming after this?
Yeah, I'm probably going to eat and then stream, yeah.
Okay. Nate, you're streaming right now, aren't you?
Yeah, man.
Okay. Since you're actually streaming, I'll host you. But thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it. This was a really great show. And thank you all for watching. You guys make the show. We'll see you guys next week, same time, same place. Talk to you soon.